Hello, this is the Scrumbag's currently working software interface overview. As soon as you log in on the software, this is what you're going to see first. So this is the login screen. You can type in your username and the password in order to access the system. So at the moment, the first thing we can do is we can register. So once we hit the register, we see the following interface. You can see the username, first, last name, and the passwords. So the username obviously has to be an email. So we're gonna make a really quick test one. Call it Peter, and we can create an email. But if the email is typed in incorrectly, it will not work as there is a validation. So we're gonna purposely leave it out incorrect so that we can see the validation later on. So I'm gonna make Peter as my first name and Peter as my last name. So we can enter password. As soon as we type in a password, we can see if it's weak or medium or strong. So there's just a quick validation. For testing purposes, we'll only use number 1, 2, 3. It is weak. You shouldn't be doing that, but it's something we're going to do really quick. Also, if the emails don't match, there's a validation that doesn't let you through, basically. So also, next thing you can do is you can select roles. So you can select developer, scrum master, or product owner. You can register without selecting a role and then selecting it later on. So we can also create a skill set. So say you're good in Java or anything like that, just for others to see what you're good at. So if I'm gonna hit register, we're gonna get an error message because our email is currently incorrect. So we have validations going on to see that our email is correct. Also, if our passwords do not match, let's just see here. If we hit register, it says passwords that do not match. So we're gonna register with Peter at peter.com. We're gonna select all the roles so that we could have access to everything that we're gonna do. So you have successfully registered, and we're gonna quickly log in with Peter at peter.com. Password 1, 2, 3. You also have the option to open in offline mode by accessing an XML, which we will create later on. So we're gonna hit login. At the moment, this is the following project list interface that you will get. So at the moment, we do not have any projects. So we're gonna quickly click the button called New Project to start creating our new project. So this is the following interface for creating a new project. The first thing that you can create is the project name. So we're gonna say our name is name just for quick testing purposes, and we can see that the name is valid. If you have something like a space, sometimes there is a bug where the project name shouldn't work with spaces, but it sometimes does, and it's a bug that we have encountered and just didn't have enough time to actually fix it. So unfortunately, there's just a bug right there. But if I do name, it's valid. It also checks if you have similar projects with the same name, so that you won't be able to create a new one. But there's a thing to remember is the project name is only unique to the user, but not the entire database. So at the moment, name seems to be correct. We can create a quick project details, just call them details. Next thing we can do is we are gonna set the start date and the end date. So there's a lot of validations going on here. So we can either use the date picker, which is a simple window that lets you select the start date and the end date, or you can manually create your own date. Also, there's validations going on. So if I type in N, that will obviously be invalid. If I do a start date that's before today's date, obviously today is the 7th. So if I do 1, that'll definitely be incorrect. So we're gonna quickly select a start date. So if the date is too early, if the date is before the start date, it obviously be incorrect. So we have a lot of validations going on that you do type in the correct start date and the end date. So we can create the end date here. One thing to remember is we can see there's a number of fields with the asterisks on them. That means those fields need to have something in there. So we see that the end date is not present beside the asterisk is not present beside the end date, therefore you do not have to create it, but we're just going to create it just for testing purposes. So we're gonna look for a user. We're gonna set ourselves as the owner because we will get access to other things that's gonna go on. So call it Peter. There it is. You also have the option to type in the full email address and look for the user that way. At the moment, we're just using our name. So we select this one. Everything else seems to be correct. So if we hit submit, there it is. That's our first project out there. So next thing you can do is you can edit the current project we have created. So we can actually delete the end date as it is not a requirement. All other details are just down there. They're grayed out as they have not been changed yet. So if we hit submit, there it is. The end date has not been set, so we can edit the project details pretty easily. Next thing we can do is we can delete the project, but we do not want to do that because that is the only project that we have right now. Another thing we can do is we can export to XML. So what I'm going to do really quick is go to the C drive, go to the users, that is Michael's computer, and we're going to search for desktop. There it is, and we're just going to export down there, and we will open this up later on. Once you open the XML, you will not be able to edit anything within the database because as per client requirements. So you will be able to see everything within it, but you actually won't be able to change anything. So you can view everything locally, but without changing anything out there. So next thing we are gonna do is we can open up our project by double clicking or hitting the open button. So what we see here is we can see the product backlog containing the user stories that have not been assigned to a sprint and the ones that have been assigned to sprints and they cannot be edited. So only the project manager can assign a scrum master, and only the project manager can create new sprint. So we can assign ourselves as a scrum master, or we can assign anybody else, but for testing purposes we're just going to assign ourselves to be the scrum master of the project that we have selected. So we're going to click add, and there it is. We can also delete ourselves not to be a scrum master anymore. So we're going to hit finish. Next thing we can do is we can create a new sprint. So we're just going to type in sprint just for quick testing purposes. Description will be just description. And once again, we have the same validations going in as creating a new project. So we have the date picker, and we have the option to create the end date. So now the end date, I believe it is necessary, so it is required to create a new sprint. So a user story can only be created by a manager, and as we are the manager, we can start creating user stories. So we're just gonna call it story just for short. Description can be description. Now we have the priority. So whenever we have multiple user stories, we can set the priority, and that'll just send it up the list, so we can prioritize it, obviously. So story points, let's just say it is 4, and that will actually update graph that we have not created yet for the story points, but that is the thing that we were looking forward to doing. So if we hit confirm, now we can see a user story that has not been assigned to any sprint. So we're gonna hit assign to sprint, and we can select a sprint. Now there we see this is the sprint that we have just created out there. So we're gonna hit confirm, and there it is. That's it assigned. Also, there was an edit button to edit the user story. The issue with that is anybody could edit the user story, and it should have been only the product manager that could edit, or only the product owner that could edit this. Also, anybody can assign the user story, which is also another issue that we had and we didn't have enough time to fix. So anyone can assign and edit at the moment. That is the problems that we had. But going from this is we have assigned our user stories to the sprint. So at the top you can see there's a sprint list. This contains all the sprints that we have that are out there. So at the moment we have just made one. We can see that it has not been started yet because today is 7th of 12th. So it has not been started just yet. So, but we can still view it, and we can see our sprint is inside it. So, sorry, our user story is within it. So, next thing we can do is view the tasks that it has inside it. So if we can either double click it or hit view tasks. So at the moment we have no tasks within it. So we're gonna create a new task. We're gonna call it task just for quick testing purposes. Call description, and priority. Now we can set priority to low, medium, high, or we can set it to be blocked, but at the moment there's nothing blocking it. It's just an option that we have available right now. And time estimate. Now we're gonna set it to 4. As you can see, time estimate is not black, and it's a little bit gray, and it's something that we didn't have enough time to address fast enough. But the time is set to 4, and we can confirm it. So we can edit it and just edit all the details. Now the special thing with edit is we can basically set it to be blocked, and we can give a reason why it is blocked. We can at the moment there's a bug where you can basically the blocking task is our task, and that should not be a thing. Usually a blocking task is another task that is actually blocking it. So at the moment it's just a bug, so we can actually set our task to be blocking it, unfortunately, and we just can give a reason. We can just say blocking. Priority medium, time remaining. We can update our tasks to update a graph saying how much time we have left overall. So we're gonna hit time remaining should be 2, and we hit confirm. That's it there. Everything has been updated. So if we hit assign, we can actually assign this story to ourselves. We select, whenever we came in, we selected ourselves as a developer whenever we were registering. So we can assign the task to a certain developer, and that is Peter, which is us. So if we hit confirm, that's it there. The owner is Peter, and we have control over it, and we can work on it basically. So the back button is due to the layout changes, the back button is a little bit off, and it's just a little bit hard to click on it. But overall, we have edited our task. Now you can see that there's we're back in our sprint backlog, and you can see there's just these little descriptions saying the amount of time we have left, the description, just these easy things out there. What we can do is we can send an email to anyone out there. You can basically, the intention was to email this to a full team, but unfortunately we couldn't do it because we couldn't develop the functionality to send this to a full team. But we can send it does work. You can send it to anyone. Set a subject. Attached doesn't really work at the moment, but it was our intention to get it working and just having the message out there. So next thing you can do, obviously, since you're the owner, you're the Scrum Master, you can create a new sprint team. So once you see the sprint team, you can search for any developers out there within our database. In order to see all the developers, the simple key thing is type them out and hit search. So now we can see all the users that have selected to be developers. So we can actually add, we can consistently add new users to be developers. Let's just see, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so it has been, it is widely known that the maximum amount of recommended members within a team should only be around 3 to 7. We do allow up to 9, but that is our maximum. So if we hit finish, next thing we can do is we can use the sprint graphs, but there's an error where it sometimes crashes if the sprint has not been started, and that is currently the case. I'm gonna do my best to view it, but before I do that, we're gonna head back and we're gonna open up the poker session. So at the moment, this is the poker chat. So you start a server, and all your clients basically type in the server IP and the port so that they can get connected, and they will appear here, and they can start typing in their messages, and they can all send the poker values. You as a poker manager, as a project manager, scrum master, you can select the user story that you're all voting for, and you select story and you can submit it. So you can just type anything in and you can just send the amount of time that you believe it should be. So at the moment this is all done local, so you don't have actual contact with anyone else, but this is definitely a functional thing. All the poker values are not revealed at the same time. We did not have time to develop that functionality, but at the moment all the users can send their poker values. So if we hit quit, yes. Now another thing we can do is we can open from XML. So remember, we have sent oh, before I do that, the file that we sent into the XML does not contain all the stuff that we have just created. So there's an issue with manage block tasks, so if I open it up and close it, I will not be able to edit anything out there, and that is an issue that we had. But if I hit view sprint graphs, you can see there's the layout, but there's nothing out there. There's nothing going on. Sometimes it crashes, and it is an issue that we're aware of, but at the moment, this is the sprint burn down. There's usually a line going, but it has not been started, and it is definitely functional, but we just can't see it right now. We can also manage block tasks. It's just you can see all your block tasks. I believe we have covered most of the features that we could do, and I will just hit manage block tasks. As you can see, we have actually assigned one task to be blocked, and there it is out there. So this has been the Scrumbags currently working software interface. I believe I covered most of the things that we have done, and I hope you enjoyed this overview. Thank you very much.